Hello, my name is Molly. Welcome to my channel. I wanted to do a quick video about the chakras. What is a chakra? And I wanted to do a quick overview of the main chakras that most people talk about in our bodies. Okay, so we're going to go and talk about the idea that everything is energy. So we are just all energy, even though we certainly can be a dense, we feel very dense, but the idea that everything is energy, including ourselves. So a chakra is an energy center, right? So we usually hear about the 7 main chakras in the body. If you've ever seen in a yoga studio, they always have the rainbow, like the rainbow colors and circles. So those correlate to those main chakras in the body. Now, each chakra holds a certain energy. So in our being, we all hold these chakras. We actually hold many chakras, but these are the main ones we're talking about. And I believe that correlates to acupuncture, as a side note, all the different chakras in the body. But I'll just give a little quick side note. I could not understand what people were talking about. For years, I heard about this and it did not make any sense. It sounded silly. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And then I was, in a sense, kind of forced into a Reiki, which is an energy where people will go, you lay on a table and the idea is the practitioner will balance out your chakras. And to me, it sounded really ridiculous and I was very uncomfortable even spending money on something that I did not believe in, I didn't understand. And as I laid on the table, I realized that the lady was not touching me, but I could feel tingling and different sensations in my body. And for me, that was very odd, very unusual. And then it continued to, she kept saying, "You're not in your body, you're not grounded." And that made no sense to me. And I just continued. I listened to the whole thing. I did think that the sensations were unique. She was also saying some things to me. I know most practitioners don't speak, but she was talking to me. She was saying things to me that really were, it was almost like a psychic reading in a sense, where she was talking about different things in my body. And I was so shocked that she could see or feel those things without touching me or having any, like an x-ray or something like that. So then I had an experience where I think it was like that night or maybe the next night, I was working on listening to my intuition and doing what I was feeling called to do after having that conversation in that shop. And I went outside. I remember it was cold and I was wearing boots and I just felt the need to go outside and touch this tree. And it was cold, it was winter. So I put my hands on the tree and I actually felt in the back of my spine, it was like something dropped. And that was for me an understanding of a chakra, right? That there could actually be a physical understanding of what's going on energetically in our bodies. So I really don't think that I just always have understood this stuff. I certainly have not. And this is just, again, my perspective on it. So back to these energy centers. So the idea is that in each of these energy centers throughout our body, we hold certain ideas, feelings, emotions, what have you. Okay, so we're going to start at the root. The root is actually located physically at the bottom of your spine. It's usually represented in red. And the idea behind the root chakra is that's like your safety center. That's your a grounding. That's your security. So if you are in fear or, you feel like, oh, I don't have enough, I won't have a roof over my head, or I won't have food on the table, things like that, that's all going to affect that root chakra. Are you safe? Are you stable? If it is overactive, now I'm not as familiar with that, so I do have a little cheat sheet. If this is overactive, okay, so that's if it's underactive or if it's blocked, then you're going to be in that fear state, right? Just unsure of what's going on and you don't feel stable and secure, which would be if it was balanced. Then if it's overactive, there's this idea that you might be very materialistic. just to have this lust for power or more stability, right? Or what we perceive as stability. So that could be if that's an overactive chakra. Okay. So to be in a balanced place in your root chakra, you'd feel like really good in your space, really secure. I think a lot of us, I speak in general terms, I'm not really sure why, but if you had a rocky childhood, or if you have moved around a lot, or worked really hard to put a roof over your head, or certainly if you are homeless, if there are things like that going on in your life, you're probably not going to get necessarily above that root chakra, right? Because you're in that state of survival. So that's why we want to be very mindful if we are in a state of fear and severe anxiety, that's keeping us not, unbalanced, basically at the root of our being, right? So it's just something to think about when you're feeling, oh, I'm just so scared. All these things, the anxiety, this is normal. It's not normal, right? Because it doesn't feel stable. So that's certainly something to look at, and maybe tap into there. Okay. Now we're going to move into the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra is located just under your belly button. This is seen certainly as a sexual chakra, but it's so much more than that, right? So that is your passion, your creativity. That's where, yes, you wouldn't create a baby, create life, but you create anything in your life, right? That's where, if you're an artist, that sacral chakra will, get you going. And that can be in any way, right? Maybe perhaps you enjoy growing a business, or you enjoy whatever you enjoy, that passion. Probably feel it there. They say you have fire in your belly. That's your passion. That's your sacral chakra, right? If it's blocked, right? Perhaps it's certainly, if you've had sexual trauma, that's where a lot of that energy comes from, when things have happened there that were not wanted, not warranted. Certainly abuse, any kind of trauma, you certainly can hold that there. We also can connect with all of our intimate partners, for good or bad, right? That's where you're gonna, and I am gonna make a little side note here, because I know a lot of people have a lot of trauma in that chakra. So if you feel that as I'm speaking, please take a moment, do like a nice good salt bath or a good shower, and imagine cutting all the cords, any connections that you may have had with anyone, even if it's a current partner, because the truth is, you want to maybe give yourself a fresh start there. Clear as much of that out as possible, because I think as a society we have a very we can have a very unbalanced, very judgmental view on intimacy in relations. So it might be a good place to start fresh, if you will. Clear things out and release them. Try to release as much as you can, even from traumatic events, because all it's really doing is probably just holding and sitting inside of you, which is of no benefit for you, and it can certainly turn into illness. Okay. It's a side note. So for that one, if it's overactive, you can be, it's saying it can turn into being overly fixated on, sexual encounters, and maybe becoming manipulative in that way. So again, if you want to give yourself a fresh start there in that sacral energy, which is down there right below your belly button, it's actually a really amazing energy. I think a lot of us have, you may have either not necessarily been in a balanced space there, because I don't think we're really, I say I'm talking kind of on a societal view. I'm sure there are people that don't experience this, but when you look at a lot of religious doctrine, and certainly the way that society views things, I think there's like this way of like, just not looking at things as having true balanced connections. They can either be kind of like the virgin, or the what would you call that? Just being free, very promiscuous, right? So the idea is that you can absolutely and are entitled to have a balanced experience, that you don't need to choose these extremes to label yourself with. Okay. Now let's move into the solar. So the solar chakra is going to be kind of right under your rib cage. This one is big one. So these bottom three, and I think that's how they explain them. They're very grounded. They're very based in your physical being, okay, in your life, in your body, and in your connection to the earth itself, okay? So the solar is your confidence, at least that's how I see it. It's a confidence center. It's belief in yourself. It's I'm gonna actually peek really quick. Yeah, if you have low self-esteem, if you're codependent, if you're looking to others for their opinions all the time, they're looking for other people to sign off on everything that you do, or for them to believe in you, that can be a blocked or an underactive solar. Now, if you're over, you can be very power hungry, very critical, very much a perfectionist, which again is not going to be a balanced feeling. Now, this is also really important for your intuition, right? A lot of people say that gut feeling. I believe that's where this comes from, where you just feel it in your stomach. And certainly when you are giving your power away to someone, when you're saying, okay, well, you know best. In any way, whenever you do that, and then people go, oh, you have to turn it over to a higher power. Well, in a sense, that higher power does flow through you, right? So you want to be very mindful of turning your power over to other people and what that's actually physically doing for you and how that feels, okay? This is an important one in children. It's actually where I started. My entire line was creating, it was a bath salt with me and my daughter, but the intention being for confidence and playfulness in children. So that it is really important, not just for children, of course, for all of us. Again, this is a good one to do a lot of cord cutting with if you have ever felt that way, that you've maybe perhaps given your power away. Maybe that saying doesn't work for you, but if you've ever looked to others for their approval, that it's just another way of saying that, really. Okay, so that's the solar. Now we're going to go up to the heart. The heart is, I think most of us could resonate with this idea of when it's in balance, it's very loving, very compassionate, very open, non-judgmental, right? We're not coming from that kind of space. But if you have a blocked heart chakra, okay, I'm sure you can imagine you'd be very intolerant, probably a little bitter. Not being able to see things from a loving space, I would argue, would be that. And okay, if it's overactive, this would be jealousy, self-sacrificing, or just giving too much, just being that martyr, constantly giving to others that are just taking. Okay. We're going to keep going. We'll move up into the throat. The throat chakra is a really important one. I've been feeling this one a lot for myself, for a lot of other people. So this is, if it's blocked, okay, you maybe feel like you're not expressing yourself. You can't express yourself. Your words don't matter. Your opinions don't matter. You kind of hold it in here. It'd be a little probably more difficult for you to be understood. So you would in turn feel misunderstood, right? If it's overactive, you'd feel very opinionated. But it would be in like a very critical way, right? You always have something to say about everyone. There's always someone doing something wrong, or whatever the case may be, and you may just literally yell. Everything may come out as yelling at a really high voice, okay? Now, if it is balanced, now this is a tricky one, I think, for a lot of us. Now, if it is balanced, you will probably be a great communicator. You'll be clear, supportive, concise. You will be able to be very diplomatic. Okay. Go up to the third eye. Now, this one is an amazing chakra. Now, this is where you can see, like, the idea is to see the unseen, right? To see other things that we are not seeing in a very physical way here, right? So if it's blocked, which for most of us, it is blocked, okay? So you may have trouble with your focus. Your imagination may not be as wonderful, okay? Because you're really focused on what is reality and what is here. If it's overactive, that could end up with nightmares, delusions. You could see too much. You know, I kind of see that maybe more in children, but certainly could happen. Oh, okay. I'm being shown some people that maybe check themselves into psychiatric hospitals because it's not balanced. They don't know what they're seeing. They can't decipher between reality and, I mean, reality, I use that word loosely, but for them, it's just too much information overload. Now, if you have balance here, you're going to be able to harness that imagination. You'll see clear thought, you'll see visions, and you'll be able to see beyond the physical idea of what we're surrounded with right now. Okay. We're going to end with the crown chakra, okay, which sometimes is here, sometimes they say it floats a touch above. If it is blocked, right, you may feel a brain fog. You may feel disconnected, okay? There, you know, your faith in things, you could be angry at God, right, or angry at whatever you consider the divine for you. If it's overactive, it's still this idea of perhaps being very judgmental, being, you know, maybe too into like other people's beliefs, not your own, but really taking those beliefs and saying, no, that is the way that it is, you know, maybe even a touch of that angry, this is the truth, this is what's right, because, you know, anyway, you go like way on the other side of that. And then if you're in the middle, you would probably, it's just that really, really beautiful balance of feeling that flow, feeling that connection, having that faith, getting that assurance in what you're doing, what you're feeling, what you're experiencing. It's kind of just like that extra acknowledgement that what you're doing is, you're on the right path, I guess is kind of the way that I'm seeing it. So I know that turned out to be probably one of my longer videos, but I did go through the main chakras. I hope that was helpful. Please like, share, subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or would like me to go into anything in more detail, or if I said something that you feel wasn't, you know, clear enough, or you'd like to expand upon it, please feel free to comment below. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here, and hope to see you soon.